Hello, this is Monty with M&J Farm, and I'd like to show you how to make some really good potting soil. It'll save you a fortune. Uh, you can go to the store and buy that miracle stuff or whatever it is, and it works fine. But uh, I think what I make here is just as good, probably better. And so I'd like to show you how to make it. And I don't know if you can see this nice. The only thing I haven't added is perlite, and so it's just a great mix. And so let's get busy and make some. Okay, let's talk about the components of my potting mix. I'll use 2 buckets of compost, and this comes from my city compost facility. Certainly not great, but it's better than nothing. 2 buckets of that. I'll use about 3/4 of a bucket of sand, and I get it from my sand and gravel place. It's very cheap. I'll use 1 bucket of peat moss, and I know there's a lot of talk about using peat moss, shouldn't use it, whatever. If you don't use this, I would recommend using coconut coir. I think it's an important ingredient in the mix. So we've got those four, and then perlite. I'll put some perlite in it, but really I do it to look pretty. It's not, I don't think it's the most important component of the mix. So you can use it if you want, or if you don't want to spend the money, don't do it. And so that's my mix. Okay, the first thing I'm going to screen out, it doesn't really matter which way you go, but I'm going to screen out my 2 buckets of compost. And it's probably good to use a mask when you do this. And it's a okay, that I save everything that goes back into my garden beds, or it goes as a topping to plants. Okay, so here is my screened out compost. It's it's not super fine, but gets all the big nasty pieces out of there, and it just makes a really nice stuff for your potting mix. So that's the compost. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is the sand, and it goes pretty quick. It's easy to, it's going to go through this 1/4 inch pretty easy. Okay, and the last thing we'll do is our peat moss. The peat moss is the hardest thing to do. It just, if it's dry, it doesn't want to work very good, and if it's wet, it clogs up. So it's just a little bit tougher. But I like I like screening it out anyway. It just makes a lot nicer uh, topping or mix. I use it like a cheese grater with this peat moss. Okay, you might ask why I go through all the trouble to screen that peat moss. And the reason is because it, no big chunks, really nice, and it'll mix in real good with everything else. And so now let me show you how I mix everything together. Okay, what I'd like to do is mix 2 or 3 gallons of water into it. And I don't like planting anything, most of the time I won't plant anything in dry soil. So adding a little bit of water, and this peat moss will hold on to that. It soaks up a lot of water. So we're going to start with 3 gallons and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to take my little pitchfork and just start mixing everything together. Use a shovel or whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, I could use a little more water, but that's not bad. And so now we got a very good potting mix. I think it's as good as the miracle stuff that cost a whole lot of money. Let's talk about my potting soil making facility here. I made everything from scrap lumber, and I just kind of threw it together. There's nothing, it's not square. It really doesn't matter. I made it to where my wheelbarrow would fit right underneath there. And it's a very, very handy for me. I made 2 screening trolleys. This one is 1/4 inch, and I have an 1/8 inch as well that I use for my worms. And so what I did on these is I just bought 4 wheels from Harbor Freight. I don't know, 4 might have been $10. You don't want the swivel wheels; those don't work very well. And if you look at how I made this, the good thing about it is that it sits below. It's important to have this base below the top. You don't want your potting soil running out on the track, and it just makes a mess. And so it guides along there, very simple. It works great. And so that's it right there.